Royal family in tears, Princess Leonor's farewell before leaving Spain. The palace gates stood open. The sky above Madrid was silent. Cameras lined the courtyard, but no one spoke. Then, something unexpected happened. The royal family was in tears. And in the center of it all stood Princess Leonor, dressed simply, her eyes glistening, as she prepared to say goodbye to the only home she had ever known. Spain held its breath. For weeks, whispers had filled the air, rumors of her departure, uncertainty about her next move, and speculation over what it meant for the monarchy's future. But on this morning, there was no doubt left. Princess Leonor, heir to the Spanish throne, was leaving Spain. And it wasn't just another royal duty, this was a farewell filled with raw emotion, deep symbolism, and an unmistakable turning point for the royal family. As the clock struck 10, the royal courtyard began to fill. King Felipe stood tall, though the lines on his face revealed the weight of a father's pride mixed with heartbreak. Queen Letizia, poised yet trembling, held a handkerchief that she pressed discreetly against her lips. Beside them, Infanta Sofia, Leonor's younger sister, watched with a mix of admiration and fear, realizing that her sister's next step would change everything. Leonor emerged. The cameras flashed. The nation's heir, no longer the young princess of the past, carried herself with the composure of a woman ready to serve, but her eyes betrayed her heart. Her smile was soft, but her gaze lingered on the family she was leaving behind. This moment had been building for years. From her first public speech at just 13, to her military training at Zaragoza, Leonor had been carefully molded for the role she was born into. Yet, this farewell was different. It wasn't just another engagement, it was her last day in Spain before embarking on a new chapter abroad. A chapter filled with duty, preparation, and independence. But what led to this emotional goodbye? Why was the family so overcome with tears? And what exactly awaits Leonor beyond Spain's borders? To understand this moment, we need to go back to the years of quiet preparation that shaped her. From the moment she turned 18, Leonor's life accelerated. Her royal training intensified, and her public duties increased. Every event, every handshake, every word spoken in front of cameras was a lesson in leadership. Her parents knew what was coming. The world was watching her transform from the girl in school uniform into the future Queen of Spain. But as her confidence grew, so did the expectations and the distance. Behind palace walls, Leonor longed for normalcy, for space to be herself. She adored her family, but the crown loomed over every personal choice. Even as she laughed with Sofia in the royal gardens or shared quiet dinners with her parents, she understood that her destiny belonged not to herself, but to her country. And now, as she stood on the steps of the Zarzuela Palace, about to board the car that would take her to the airbase, the reality hit her family all at once. Queen Letizia reached for her daughter's hand, her lips trembling as she whispered something only Leonor could hear. Witnesses say it was short but powerful, never forget who you are. King Felipe embraced his daughter next, a rare moment of public tenderness. Cameras caught his hand gently on her cheek, his eyes glistening. The stoic king, known for his discipline and composure, couldn't hide the emotion in his face. His daughter wasn't just the heir, she was his little girl leaving home. Infanta Sofia tried to smile, but her eyes welled up. She had always been the playful one, the light-hearted sister. But this day changed her. As Leonor hugged her tightly, Sofia whispered, "Come back. Soon." In that brief moment, it wasn't royalty, it was family. The Spanish anthem began to play softly. Soldiers saluted. The cameras zoomed in as Leonor turned one last time, waving gently toward her parents. Her eyes lingered for a heartbeat longer, then she stepped into the waiting car. As the vehicle pulled away, the palace courtyard remained frozen in silence. Queen Letizia wiped a tear. King Felipe lowered his gaze. And Sofia just stood still, her lips trembling as she whispered her sister's name. But this farewell was more than a departure, it was a symbol. A message to the world that Spain's future queen was ready to walk her own path, one marked by sacrifice, service, and independence. And yet, beneath the royal poise and public ceremony, Leonor's heart carried something unspoken. In private, sources close to the palace revealed that Leonor had written a letter before leaving. A personal note to her family, tucked beneath her pillow, expressing gratitude and love. In it, she thanked her parents for their guidance and promised that every choice she made abroad would honor them. She ended it with a simple line, "I will return not just as your daughter, but as your heir." It was a quiet vow, and it moved her parents deeply when they found it hours later. As her plane lifted off, the Spanish flag fluttered in the morning breeze. Crowds gathered outside the palace gates, waving small flags and shouting her name. "Viva Leonor!" echoed through the air. It wasn't just patriotism, it was pride. Spain was watching their future queen take her first step into a new chapter, one that would test her courage and shape her destiny. Over the next hours, social media erupted. Images of the farewell flooded every platform. Clips of Leonor hugging her family trended worldwide. Hashtags surged as people from Denmark, the UK, and the US shared messages of admiration and love. The world wasn't just watching a royal event, they were witnessing a moment of history. Royal analysts described it as one of the most emotional goodbyes in modern monarchy. But for those who know Leonor personally, they say it was also the moment she fully stepped into her role, not just as Spain's heir, but as a young woman ready to serve with purpose. And what awaits her beyond Spain? Sources suggest she's heading to continue her international studies, combined with diplomatic and military preparation, a move designed to strengthen her leadership profile before assuming larger royal responsibilities. But behind the polished headlines, the emotional toll remains. In private, Queen Letizia has struggled with the emptiness of the palace halls. Felipe, though proud, is said to often pause by Leonor's portrait in his study, reflecting on the child who once ran through those same halls with laughter. Sofia now spends more time in her sister's room, keeping her presence alive through photos and letters. But perhaps what makes this story truly powerful is not the formality, it's the humanity. This royal farewell wasn't rehearsed emotion or political theater. It was a family saying goodbye, knowing that life would never be quite the same again. Spain stood still that day, not just for a princess leaving, but for a young woman embracing her destiny. And as Leonor's plane disappeared into the clouds, one thing became clear: the next chapter of Spain's monarchy had begun. Because farewells, in the royal world, are never endings. Their beginnings written in silence, sealed with tears, and carried with pride. And for Princess Leonor, this was her moment of transformation. The world saw her leave Spain, but what they didn't see was the quiet strength she carried within her. The courage to walk away, so one day, she could return as queen.